Hola, bienvenidas y bienvenidos a esta nueva sesión de entrenamiento digital de la Sociedad de Debate de la Pontificia Universidad Católica de Valparaíso. Soy el profesor César Miranda y a continuación te voy a dar algunas instrucciones para que este entrenamiento sea lo más fructífero posible. Vamos con eso pues. El siguiente video es el discurso del primer ministro que se desarrolla en los cuartos de final del Mundial de Debate en Inglés que se hizo allá en Berlín el año 2013. Si no sabes inglés, no te preocupes, lo hemos subtitulado con la finalidad de que también pueda ser parte de este ejercicio de entrenamiento. La moción en torno a la cual gira este discurso es: esta casa prohibiría la publicidad de bienes y servicios. Las instrucciones y ejercicios que te vamos a encargar en este entrenamiento son los siguientes. Primero, antes de ver el discurso y considerando que ya sabes la moción, prepara un discurso de líder de oposición, pero utilizando solo argumentos de carácter económico. Esta preparación debes hacerla en 15 minutos. Cuando hayas hecho lo anterior, pones clic y sigues y terminas de ver el video completo. Y una vez que hayas terminado de ver el video, pues desarrollas el discurso del líder de la oposición, haciéndote cargo obviamente de los argumentos que acabas de escuchar del primer ministro. Por lo tanto, toma notas. Tercero, graba tu discurso, ya sea en formato audio o en formato audiovisual. ¿Por qué esto es importante? Porque te permite revisarlo y poder determinar dónde estuviste bien, dónde estuviste mal, qué es lo que faltó, cuál es la parte en que estás fallando, reiteradamente u ocasionalmente. Estudiarse a sí mismo los discursos sirve bastante. Finalmente, una vez que hayas finalizado tu discurso, haz los siguientes ejercicios y responde las siguientes preguntas. Primero, ¿cuál es la métrica o carga de la prueba del debate? Segundo, ¿todos los argumentos del primer ministro están orientados a la métrica? Cualquiera sea tu respuesta en este punto, fundamentala. En tercer lugar, esquematiza en 3 hojas distintas, según lo que hayas comprendido del discurso, los argumentos que expuso el primer ministro. Cuando hayas hecho esto, nuevamente observa el video y determina en qué parte de la esquematización que hiciste estuviste en lo correcto y en qué parte no estuviste en lo correcto o estuviste deficiente. Cuarto, finalmente, haciendo uso del modelo NIMS, un modelo que vimos ahí en el video de refutación que te recomiendo observar entre el minuto 19 y el minuto 50, como te decía, haciendo uso del modelo NIMS, esquematiza las refutaciones que desarrollaste en tus discursos. ¿Vale? Que sea un buen entrenamiento.
Throughout the Western world, despite its enormous wealth and the enormous gains that have been made throughout human history, there are nevertheless vast amounts of people who are not happy. From opening government, we say that the reason you see in enormous consumer societies, such as Korea, the United States, the reason why there is nevertheless still unhappiness, social exclusion, suicide, is caused partly by the consumer society driving unhappiness. Our model is obvious because it's set on the motion, but we need to make it clear exactly what we would allow in this debate. We would allow black and white descriptive labels on goods. We would not allow them to go to the extent that they would say things like Coca-Cola won't be able to rebrand itself sex juice for obvious reasons. We would allow people to name services and black and white labels outside their buildings, and we would allow lists of locally available products to be circulated by a phone book style or on the internet, those sorts of things. What we aim to prove to you from government is that consumer society and the advertising culture that exists throughout the world drives unhappiness. And we think that if we can prove to you that the world will be a happier place without this, it overrides any principled arguments about freedom of speech in this debate. We're going to bring you 3 points from opening government. Firstly, we say that advertising sells you a life you can never have. Secondly, we say that it perpetuates particularly harmful norms that hurt people that don't agree with the lowest common denominator. And finally, we say that the very act of overconsumption, which necessarily occurs through advertising, is damaging and distracts from the things that do make us happy. Firstly, we say that advertising, if we do this, people will be better able to pursue their own individual conception of the good life. And let's be clear, advertising is everywhere. We see it in television and radio, all throughout society on billboards. It is constantly messaging to us, and it is messaging to us that a concept that you can attain happiness through purchasing the products that are being produced to you. How does it do this? It does it by appealing to particularly carnal emotions and the things that are likely to make us react in the shortest space of time, because we only get to see flashes of billboards. We only get to see 30-second advertising, and necessarily that's the case. As a result, in Germany, for example, you see late-night sex adverts that basically display sex alongside products. You see people associating all sorts of things like success with these things. We say that suggests that purchasing a product will make me happy. We say that it's virtually always the case that it will not do that. We say, secondly, that actually this advertising has to convince people that they are not yet happy enough. In the Western world, most people already have their basic needs. But in order to sell you particular products, including particularly expensive products, you have to sell people the impression that they aren't yet happy and that there is something better that they can attain. Like hair ads and shampoo ads that sell you the perfect hair, makeup ads that sell you beauty. We say that cars associate people with incredible wealth. Yes, I'll take you in a second. And we say that clothing, such as Helen Stein's ads, say that suit gets sex, and I'll take opening.
Would you allow publicly promoted statements about product features?
Yes, we would. Moving on. We say that under that system, which tells you that you have to be automatically unhappy, firstly sells you an image that you never going to be the most beautiful model in the world on those images. You're never going to be to that level of wealth at the point where you're caring about these things in that instance. We say that under the system where this doesn't exist, instead of being driven by the image that is being sold to you on television, people necessarily have to be driven by their own feeling of their needs and wants to go and consume goods when they're actually driven to do so from their own bat and their own experiences in life. We say that increases people's autonomy, and it increases people's ability to pursue what is in fact their own conception of the good life, because they have to be convinced by themselves, not by impressions from advertising that means that they will be happier. Second point we say is that advertising perpetuates particularly harmful social norms. This is because in order to advertise and to make the most money from your product, you have to, by necessity, appeal to the lowest common denominator in the vast majority of cases. The lowest common denominator when it comes to advertising is straight white men. We say this is for one reason, because they're the biggest consumer market that exists in society. And secondly, so that they're usually the wealthiest and they form a large block of Western society. No, sit down. But secondly, and this applies when straight white men don't form the majority of society, is that they're usually strong social norms in favor of wanting to be there. So even in parts of Asia, most people actually want to be white and want to be in the position of success and wealth that most straight white men are. We say that that means that they tend to sell to that denominator and display white men in favor of that. We say that that means you're shown to be happy when conforming to that common denominator, so it perpetuates the desire to be that. That causes internal conflict within people that do not actually subscribe to the same views or the same wants as straight white men. And that applies to a lot of people. It applies to people that can never be like them, people that are of different skin color. It applies to people that inherently have different sexual preferences, whether that's being totally gay or whether you're like me and you just prefer women that aren't really, really thin. Okay, final point in this debate then that we want to bring to you is that the act of overconsumption driven by consumer services will lead to unhappiness and distraction from particular happiness. No, thank you. How does this occur? We say that usually when you look at consumer products, companies tend to sell them by selling identical products with brand new images which they attach to a new social brand. I'll take you in a second. So for example, the iPod 5. Basically the same features as the previous ones with minor improvements, but because they changed the style up and advertise in a new way, you're cool if you have one of them. I'll take you now.
So why are women currently unable to premium on their happiness?
What we're saying is that these goods sell you a vision of happiness that you can never attain, and we say that people will perfectly be able to put a premium on their own happiness and be able to pursue them. Currently, people aren't happy. We say that is propagated throughout the entire world, and we think that's a perfectly fair assumption to carry on with this debate. Firstly, then? What's the consequence of that sort of selling? We say that people tend to overconsume and consume more products than is actually necessary for themselves. And we think our previous analysis applies to this as well. What's the consequence of this? People are simply buying less stuff. That means they have more money. We think that that's a good thing. But secondly, we say, well, more money on other things. But secondly, we say that this image of happiness and the need to overconsume distracts you from things that will actually make you happy. We're happy to say from opening government in this House, there are some things that objectively make all people happy. Things like meaningful social connections with other people. The history of humanity is we can see that people always want those meaningful social connections, like families, like friends around them. We think that living in good environments does the same thing. We think that achieving personal success in pursuits that you invest time and energy in, like when you surprisingly make a quarterfinal at World's Debating, gives you huge benefits, and we think that that's really important. So you get distracted from that when you think that by consuming will do that for you. You don't invest the same time. You don't invest the money in those things because you think that what will make you happy is that image. Finally, we say that children are particularly easily convinced by this, and they tend to pressure their parents into making bad decisions on top of this. For all of these reasons, we want to change consumer culture. We want to change your lives for the better, ladies and gentlemen. We propose.